Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today we are going to take a fully spoilerly look at Chapter 63 of Kaiju number 8, and have I got to say that the 4th Division captain is such a diva? Okay, now this chapter is at its heart about brotherly love, accepting the support of your friends, and the power that accepting your limitation gives you in learning to work with and around those limitations. That said, as always with Matsumoto's work, there is just so much to unpack. So, before we get to that, I'm going to give you a chance to click away by telling you to go click the links below the video to get yourself a copy of Humans Are Weird. I have the data. Monty Python meets Star Trek in this collection of short stories of human absurdity. And we are going to start at the beginning. Oftentimes in manga, now there will be spoilers moving on, so be warned. Oftentimes in manga, the first page of a chapter is just a summary of the last chapter's cliffhangers. Not always, but frequently. Not here. Here, we open with a close-up of Reno's internal's face, and there is just so much to unpack. I am, of course, going to be doing a whole video on this, just the first page, but to summarize here, so you can get kind of the flavor of my analysis for the rest of the chapter. First, we can see that Reno is mentally broken. It is just good storytelling. The boy is crying his eyes out, kneeling on the ground. Second, well, the art on this page is different from the rest of the chapter, different from other mental landscapes we've seen in the story, different from everything else in the manga so far. The very first thing that drew me to this manga was the artwork, specifically that image of Kaiju number 8 in full color curled over the banner page. The line work is crisp, the muscles are defined. It was truly and purely the art alone that got me interested in this manga. That art could have been from a medical textbook illustrating muscular structure. And from day one, the art has not changed. Crisp, clear lines with bright, well-lit faces. What caught me off guard about Reno's face in this first panel was the art was different. Many of the lines aren't just less crisp, they aren't there at all. Rather, the image has been applied by using almost an impressionistic smearing technique. And it gives the image a melting look. Reno's skin is a darker tone than anything we've yet seen in the series. In fact, when I first looked at the panel, my first thought was tragic dark elf boy. It took me a bit to trace down the origin of that thought, but I finally followed it back to a dim corner of a Cowtown public library in the very early aughts. Teenage me sitting on the floor in the 800 section of the nonfiction, happily memorizing the slim manga pickings available. What was available in that little Cowtown in Oregon was Record of the Lotus War, Chronicles of a Heroic Knight, a story that would heavily influence my storytelling for years to come, to this day really. I liked the name of one character, Parn, and stole that for the name of a tragic hero of the full-length novel I've been working on for 20 years now, but the full character who stuck in my head most was that of the dark elf Jiba. Oh, my little teenage heart was just obsessed over that tragic boy. But enough. Suffice it to say he was a very tragic character, and I had a crush. My point is that the abrupt change in art style and character presentation in Kaiju number 8 in this chapter, especially for Reno in that first panel, was very, very telling. His hair droops instead of sticking out like it normal does. His skin is dark. His face is a mask of pain. All of that poked right into my brain and said, Jiba. That's a dark elf in a fantasy series. I have no idea if that was the original idea Matsumoto had when he drew Reno looking like a tragic dark elf, but let's say I am no less suspicious of Reno being some sort of kaiju plant moving forward. Then, Aiharu shows up and breaks through the dark magic barrier. Wait, no, sorry. I forgot which genre we were in at the moment. Let's try that again. Then, Aiharu shows up and breaks through the defensive psychological blocks that Reno had put up. Much better. He mentally gets through to Reno, but it takes several moments for Reno to wake up. And when he does, he's being manhandled back up the mountain to the roadside where it started. Aiharu has gotten them an extension, and so the crippled Reno can snipe the mole kaiju from the pass. Aiharu will line it up and expose its core, much like Vice Captain Hoshina does for Mina. Reno objects that Aiharu would be in danger then, and gets a loving, brotherly headbutt for his trouble. Now, the captain of the 4th Division is such a diva. We have, of course, seen him drinking like a fish on screen in a national-level security conference, and grumbling when his second-in-command took his sake away from him. Now, of course, this is a reference to the trope of the special drunken kung fu style. Some master another who is usually inept at martial arts until they get good and drunk. Then they can blast out the moves. You have one of those in Sakamoto Days right now, and several other manga I'm sure currently running. If any fighting anime lasts long enough, this trope will show up in one form or another. But the 4th Division captain's divaness goes beyond just the drunken master trope. In fact, that trope was leading into a pretty big revelation for Aiharu. It turns out that Aiharu's power levels spike and fall as he gets into a state of focus and falls out of it, which explains why he is able to land a few very effective blows on Kaiju number 9 back in their first confrontation, way back in chapter 17, but wasn't able to consistently keep up with Reno. And if you recall, it was when Aiharu had to put his stress and overthinking to the side and focused, gotten into the moment, and was just completely 100% focused on aiding Reno, that Aiharu was able to land those blows. And that power nature, being capable of short bursts of monstrous power that requires time and focus to achieve, is something that is revealed that Aiharu shares with the captain of the 4th Division. In one of my previous videos, I discussed the position and tasks of the 4th Division. They seem to be in charge of dealing with kaiju who act on more natural cyclic rhythms. They were the wildfire crews of the Japanese Kaiju Defense Force. This pattern works well with the power spike nature of the captain's abilities. He probably wouldn't be able to go out there and face the daily grind of constant random attacks and constant vigilance that Captain Narumi and Captain Ishiro deal with, but for this niche, meeting predictably powerful opponents out in the wilderness, where the stakes are a bit lower, his power levels are perfect. A nice bit of tying together all the world building from the previous chapters on Matsumoto's parts there. And Aiharu's arc is just delicious, but that's definitely getting a video of its own. Now, I do want to ask, is the mole kaiju really dead in this chapter, at the end of chapter 63? Yeah, it looks like the ice blast went all the way through him, but there's ice on the far side of the wound, but we can't actually see the through hole, suggesting that the kaiju wasn't entirely cored. From the panel where Reno takes the shot, we can see the same shape of the ice around him. That means that those ice spikes are a consequence of the being fired, not necessarily an exit wound. So, did Reno actually complete his goal? If he did, it would be like a nice 3-beat story arc finish, but if he didn't, it will be leading into something more important, something even better possibly, that 4th beat reversal of fortunes. So, what do you think? Leave a comment below telling me if the mole type kaiju is dead or not. Is that the final 3rd beat completion, or is it the 4th beat reversal of fortunes for Reno? Hit that like and subscribe button, and peace out, my wonderful viewers. Humans are weird. We took a vote, and humans are weird. I have the data. 2 books in a series of human absurdity. Go check out these short story collections. What will our little green friends think of us when we finally do make it to space? Find out the answer in 2 books of human absurdity. Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote, and Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Google Play.